All right, we on. All right, peace. What's going on, folks? Hey, thanks again for your attention. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe. Most importantly, um, uh, put a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Sorry, I got a text that just came through. All right, so this video is about talking black, talking white. That is the title of this video. What I want to touch on here is that perception that when speaking well and fluently in English, you are perceived as talking white. Um, I've not only have I, you know, when I was young, I didn't understand it just because I was young, right? But now, the older I get, the more I understood it was so much more of an insult when people said something like that than a compliment. But like I said, when you're young, you're ignorant to things like that, right? Because you're just trying to be a kid. But then when somebody says, "Oh man, you talk so well," you're so well spoken, and then you got the ones who are that cool, who they think they are that cool with you. They'll say things like, "Man, you talk whiter than me," or "You're the whitest black dude I know," or so and so shit like that, or they call what I'm saying, or they'll call a black person an Oreo, that they're black on the outside and white on the inside. So I want to touch on that shit because, like I said, like when I was a kid, I never understood that when people phrase that to me as a compliment, white people that being, when they phrase that to me as a compliment, I never understood that. But the older I got, the more I understood that not only was it not a compliment, but it was actually them telling me what place my my people, me being black, what place I am, and that it is it is it's it's cool to see that you kind of stepped up, you stepped your shit up, right? Like you're different from the rest of your people, you're better than them. It's like you're the cool one, you're the cool ones out of them, type of thing. You're nice. Like I've heard that shit growing up all the time when motherfuckers would say shit like that. Because I grew up in Edmond, you know what I mean. So a lot of times I was friends with people and even acquaintances with people where they were that comfortable with me where they would say shit like that. But even they didn't understand what they were saying. So to be honest, I can't even hold them at fault because they were ignorant to the fact of how discriminatory they were being just because they've been they've been born and raised in white supremacy. You see, when you live in white supremacy, you have a certain perception of you, a person being white, and then everything else that's underneath it. So my point is this. I mean, we're gonna take it. I'm gonna break it down for you, but we're definitely gonna take it back, and then we're gonna take it further back. In regards to here in the states and kind of like the Western civilization way of looking at it, quote unquote, talking white. You see, you go to Britain, there's black people who talk English. Are they considered talking white? When they, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you go to China or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and they're talking Chinese, or are they talking to black? Do they got to talk it black? Do they have to talk the Chinese black somehow? Like if you speak another language, do you talk it more to your ethnicity? So if I'm talking Chinese, my Chinese is going to be somehow black or somehow like what? What is it supposed to be? Well, what it's always assumed to be is that it's supposed to be ghetto, hood, slang, broken English, just inaccurate English, right? That's actually at the end of the day what is being said when people say you're so well spoken. They're saying that I'm used to y'all not being well spoken, but I have to say you out of all the ones that I'm used to are so well spoken. I don't ever see a white person saying that to another white person, going, "Oh my God, you're such a well spoken kid." I don't ever see that. I don't ever see that. But then when they see me, they go, subconsciously they're going, I'm used to seeing people like you who talk Ebonics, slang, English I don't understand. But then when you come to me, I feel so compelled to tell you how impressed I am in your vocabulary. I'm so impressed because I'm not used to seeing people like you with that type of vocabulary. Well, you need to travel and move around because we're all over this world. And like I said, we speak, not only do we speak numerous languages, but even when it comes to English, some of us speak it better than the Englishmen that invented English. They didn't invent language. They just invented English. because language, we know where actual language comes from. So if you really want to break it down in regards to what someone's talking, we know that written language, from the scripts to the papyruses, all of that comes from ancient Egypt around 2690 BC. Around 2690 BC. So if anything, y'all talking African because any language stems from the hieroglyphics. It all derives from all of that to the Rosetta Stone, so on and so forth. But the roots of it are from Africa. So if you would, so in regards to language, period, the gift of language originated in Africa. The gift of language originated in Africa. Written scripts were written in ancient Egypt and in Kemet, and there were tablets. I mean, like I don't want to go deep into it just because this is going to be a 3 hour damn video. But at the end of the day, if we want to talk about uh, someone talking a certain race of people or person, if we really want to get technical, the origins of language come from the written scripts that originated from Africa. So any language on this earth stems from that. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. So let's not get it twisted. At the end of the day, though, where that concept of talking white here on the western side of things, where that comes from was from white supremacy in the slave days. That's what that comes from. You see, the slaves, the bit of English they did know was Ebonics type English because they were just picking it up. Nobody was teaching slaves how to speak English. All they were doing them was pick this shit or we're gonna whoop your ass type shit. The ones who did learn how to speak English were, if anything, they were, the house slaves or something like that. Just because the slave master wanted to communicate orders to the house slave. But for the most part, majority of slaves, they just picked up what they picked up English, like most people nowadays, where they just watch TV for years on end in different countries, and they end up, hi, how you doing? And they know how to speak fucking English. That's exactly how slaves learned English, is they were just picking the shit up. So then, as that went on, uh, a black person who maybe even went, somehow, because see back then too. Let's not get it twisted that not only were we not allowed to learn the language, like I said, no one was voluntarily teaching us English at all. Nobody was teaching slaves English. Nobody's teaching slaves English. So what they were doing was anyone who did pick it up enough to know was killed. Because if you know how to speak English, sooner or later you'll know how to read. And if you know how to read, that means you're going to figure out what the hell we're doing. So at the end of the day, reading was a death sentence in them days. During the slave trade and during the slave times, reading was a death sentence. You know how right now, if you chop somebody's head off, they'll kill you, it's a death sentence? Well, reading a book, they will kill you. Knowing how to read, you will die. So could you imagine that anybody who did learn how to read, not only were they breaking the cardinal rule, but they were looked at going, oh my God, you one of them white people. You reading like them? Oh, you definitely, and you trying to be like them too. You talking like them. So that's where it came from, is that when any of us were able to learn something and learn it to its full potential, and especially if it was theirs, we were deemed trying to be like them when we learned how to understand it. So when we learn English and fluently, that's when now people, and especially like ignorant people, and what's even unfortunate is even some of my people will say stupid shit like that because they're so brainwashed and indoctrinated into the fact that they shouldn't know. They should not know how to speak fluently. They shouldn't know proper English. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You trying to what? You think you're better than me because you know English, or you think you trying to be a white boy because you know how to speak good English? So what am I supposed to be then? A dumb black person who doesn't know how to speak English? Because I don't know what that is. That doesn't exist in my world. That doesn't exist in my world. So what I'm trying to get, my point is in this is that when that phrase is put upon anybody, all that is saying is that you are supposed to be dumb. You should not be speaking like this. That's all that means. You shouldn't be speaking like this because you're supposed to be illiterate. You're supposed to be talking broken English. You're not supposed to be speaking more fluently than the white person that you're speaking to. Because at the end of the day, they don't like that. Some don't mind. Some could care less. But the ones that say, you're so you're such a well-spoken young man. Oh my God, I'm so impressed. The ones that say, yeah, you sound when you talk like a white guy. I thought I was talking to a white dude. Like what the fuck am I supposed to sound like? What am I supposed to sound? I'm supposed to sound like Deshaun from the East Side, right? That's what I'm supposed to sound like. I'm supposed to sound aggressive, and I chop the last letter off of every word. Hmm? That's what it is. That's what I'm supposed to be, right? So that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, when people say that, they're actually telling you how they generally perceive you and anything that looks like you. That's what they're saying. They're literally meaning the opposite of the compliment that they're trying to put across to you. They're trying to relate to you. So by them saying that you're well spoken, they're actually saying you're actually an idiot. I'm surprised that you sound like you're smart. That's really what they're saying because they don't expect you to be like that. And if you are, you're just trying to be like them. You're not just being smart. Well, because why? Because smart is being like them. Because remember, we're slaves. We're supposed to be idiots. We're supposed to be dumb. We're supposed to be illiterate, not know how to read. But then when you do learn it, now you're trying to be like them. So that's my point. That's my point. Uh, talking white, talking black, it's just talking. And then it's talking from the environment you're in, right? Just because I don't sound uh, like the homie Jerome, the homie Javon on the East, just because I don't sound like him does not make me less or more black. And just because he sounds more hood does not make him less or more uh, uh, black. It doesn't. So that's what it is to me. So next time you tell somebody that they're talking white, understand what you're really telling them. And then next time somebody tells you that you're talking white, understand that they're telling you you're supposed to be talking like a fucking idiot and you're not supposed to know what you're saying. But when you do, we're gonna compliment your ass because you're not like the rest of y'all. Which at the end of the day, like I said, the origins of language come from the continent of where I'm from and where we from. So watch your mouth next time you want to talk about language and question us in regards to our abilities of speaking it because it originated with us. Peace.